My name is Nicoli. I am an associate professor at the University of Nicosia, and I'm in the Department of Communications, and I've been here since 2006. So I teach courses on an undergraduate level in media theory, communications theory, on a graduate level, and I also have PhD students supervision. Well, I would first say that I have a bit of an issue with the word new. I think it should be more along the lines of digital media because, you know, when do we draw the line on what's old and what's new? So, you know, I would use the term digital, and because that is a more encompassing word to reflect on the changes which are occurring now in the field. But other than just changes in the field, I think digitalization and digital media more generally is changing not only the field itself, but it's changing a whole variety of other issues such as socioeconomic and political, etc. Especially social media platforms. I would argue it's definitely an area that is completely and radically changing our whole contemporary way of life. I think it's a community, and more than a community, it's sort of becoming, it's a virtual society. And therefore, you know, it's both simple and it's complex at the same time. You know, it works on very many different levels. So, you know, on the one hand, it's how any other society would be. And you have different subgroups in it, you have different cultures working within this area. So, you know, I think in the future, this particular trend will continue. We're going to see a lot more examples of liberalism. We're going to see a lot more examples of partisanship. We're going to see a lot, you know, it's quite complex. That's how I see it. It's very difficult to say, okay, you know, this is the one thing which is happening. It's working on very many different levels. Well, there are two, for me personally, there are two levels of this, because on the one hand I teach in communication, so we actually teach what social media are. But other than that, I mean, putting that to one side for a moment, social media platforms are changing education. We are using, you know, more collaborative forms of technology, you know, that they're being implemented in the classroom. It's definitely breaking down notions of time and space. So, you know, we work a lot, for example, through things like Google Drive and, you know, just software like that, where different things are uploaded on a cloud, on a server somewhere. And, you know, we often meet online, and that changes, of course, our offline experiences. So there's a lot of that going on. Now, on the other hand, the other thing is that we actually teach in our department social media management. So, and of course, you know, it's difficult to keep up. I mean, sometimes, you know, you go in with a lecture in mind, and the students know just as much or even more than you do on many, you know, on many different platforms, for example, on how to use these platforms. So, yeah, I would say that, you know, these are the two sort of areas which are quite interesting for me and for our department. It's a good question. It's an interesting question. I think, yeah, we can definitely, like with any other area, you know, we can definitely see a generational issue. There are quite a few journalists who are very experienced that, you know, there's a digital divide. I mean, you know, they don't really have the expertise or the knowledge, and don't even have the time, and are not willing or not motivated to get online and start doing that, who I would argue from, my discussions with quite a few of these people, a lot of them think it's a fad. A lot of them think it's something which they shouldn't be interested in. It's whatever the opposite of quality journalism is what they think that is. So, I see that. But on the other hand, I also see a lot of, especially the younger journalists, which is, goes without saying, that they are trying to keep up. They are looking at how these platforms can help them build their own social capital, how they can, get closer in touch with their audience, with their readership, etc. So there is a divide, though. I sense that there's a divide, and unfortunately, especially with a lot of the better journalists, they're sort of not willing to, or are finding it difficult to take on, these new platforms, to be trained in them. Well, let me just say, I think it's a great project. I think, we need more of these, and if it's to work, if training of this kind is to work, I think it would be a good idea to break down how you train them into different categories of professionals. You have your hardcore, older, sort of, very experienced journalists that you're going to have a hard time getting them to have a cup of coffee with you, let alone get them online like this. So it might be a good idea if you could sort of do it simultaneously while they're working. If you can sort of incorporate the training into exactly what their everyday activities, that would be, motivating maybe for them. And then you got, the other categories which are more willing to, to take time off, to take a weekend off, to catch up on things and to learn how these new platforms might be able to help them. But, I would definitely break it down into different sort of cohorts of journalists. Well, I think, it's like with any other media. You have different media for different objectives. Twitter is definitely something which would allow an audience base or a group of citizens to move them into certain other platforms. So quality journalism is quality journalism, investigative journalism is investigative journalism. It's just a matter of how you can use these in order to get the audience to continue consuming well-made journalism. So Twitter, for example, is something which would direct you to a blog. For me, that's how that would work, because it's restricted in certain areas. But it's fast and it's portable, and it's great to use that way. So, different platforms have different sort of benefits or advantages. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around. I could definitely say that Facebook covers just about everything that these others do as well. But there's a different language, for example, to Instagram as there is to Pinterest, say. So it varies. So if you can manage to draw on the benefits of each platform and then use them in order to get the audience to continue consuming good quality journalism, then I think that's an objective met. Through evaluation, through showing the results of previous work, I guess, through continuing to bridge these different organizations together. But mainly for me, it would be through showing results of previous work. If you can do that, and if you start showing a track record, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it's going to be that kind of thing. It's going to be challenging, but you have to keep pressing on it. And then I think through collaboration, through mass collaboration, it could work. Yeah, you know, it could be done that way. But yeah, evaluation though, you know, showing success stories of the past would get people motivated to continue training and retraining and acquiring new knowledge.
Yeah.